Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another God's Little Makeup Artist Talk. I'm gonna say that was one of the things that I got myself involved in a lot. Sex before marriage. That's what we're gonna talk about. Sex before marriage, you guys, and what God says about sex. Like, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button, as well as that notification bell, so that way you can be notified of all of my future uploads. Have you ever been in a position to where you felt like if you don't have sex with somebody, they're gonna leave you? That's been my case, before I came to the Lord. I did it a lot, especially when I was going through like a space where I was just like super insecure. Didn't know that I was dealing with abandonment issues at the time, but now that I know what it was back then, that's what it was. Every single time I got myself linked up to a boyfriend or somebody that I wasn't even dating, sex. And then even after I came to the Lord, and even after I had decided that I was going to stop having sex for the purpose of what God says in His Word, and when it's time to have sex, there is a time for it. It's not there so that we could just not have it, but it's also not there so that we can have it outside of its time, outside of the time that God says that it is good to be intimate with your partner. And I'm not talking about a partner that you're not married to. I'm talking about your husband or your wife. If you are a man and you have a husband, and if you are a woman and you have a husband. Did I say that right? Man and woman, woman, man. Soul ties are what happen when you have sex outside of marriage. The bond that is created when two people come together is extremely dangerous for people who are unmarried. What ends up happening is you lay down with someone and or multiple people, and your souls link together and a tie is created. And then when that relationship does not work out, one of you guys or both of you guys are experiencing this pain. It's painful because what was meant for and what is meant for a man and his wife has been perverted. The devil is a copycat. He's here and he is taking everything that God said is good and twisting it and perverting it. So you have a lot of people that are out here in this world who have been misusing sex, and it's left so many people hurt. There's a time for everything, y'all. And there's so much damage that sex causes when it's done outside of its proper time. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 to 40, and this is the ESV. It says, "Now concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. The husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer, but then come together again so that Satan may not tempt you because of lack of self-control." It's crazy how the enemy comes in to jack things up, because when you're unmarried, he wants to tempt you to have sex outside of its proper time. But the moment you get married, he does everything he can, I would imagine, to keep sex from ever even happening. He wants to divide and break up. He doesn't like covenants. He hates it. We're all sexual creatures. God created us this way, but it can't be done outside the proper time. I can't just continue with passing my body around to men just because I have a need. That's where self-control comes in, as a single. In 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 18 to 20, "Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought at a price, so glorify God in your body." 1 Corinthians 7, 8 to 9, to the unmarried and the widows I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. So if you can't control yourself, it's better for you to marry than to burn with passion. But if you have the self-control, stay to yourself. Stop opening yourselves up to people that are not your spouse. If you are in a time of singleness, be single, y'all. For those of us who have never been married, we don't know what it's like to be married. But all we know is that right now God is preparing us for our next season. But we know that whatever He is doing in our lives in the season that we are in, it's for our good. If He has given us a desire for marriage, you have to remember and keep in mind that He is a promise keeper. Don't be in such a rush to go and hop into things, because when you are in a rush to hop into things, you may never get to that promise. Why? You prefer to do things over here because you think God is taking too long. He's not slow to His promises. He does not live within time. He is not limited by time, and He is not to be rushed. If you want to hop into something, or if you find yourselves being approached by people that are just popping up out of nowhere, because when they pop up and then you're walking around telling your friends and family like, oh, I think this person is the one for me, especially if you are a Christian, then you end up having sex outside of marriage. Which of the two had the self-control? Don't be in such a rush to do things outside of its proper time. You save yourself a lot of pain, a feeling of emptiness. Alrighty guys, that completes this video. I will catch you in my next one.